Hear now this reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus put before them another parable. He said, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to someone who sowed good seed in his field. But while everybody was asleep, an enemy came and sowed seeds among the wheat and then went away. So when the plants came up and bore the grain, then the weeds appeared as well. And the slaves of the household came and said to him, 'Master, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did all these weeds come from?' And he answered, 'An enemy's done this.' And the slaves said to him, 'Well, then do you want us to go and gather them?' But he replied, 'No, for if you gather the weeds, you would uproot the wheat along with them. Let both of them grow together until the harvest. And at the harvest, I will tell the reapers, collect the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn.'" Here ends the reading. Let us pray. Lord, you have searched us and you have known us. You know when we sit down and stand up, you know what we think. May your knowledge be in our own actions. May we, in turn, know your mind. Be present to us in our meditations. Be present to us in the ways we treat one another, that others may know you by knowing us and by how we act, think, and pray in this moment. Amen. Jesus, in this parable, I think, invites us to something equally agrarian as last week's passage, which was about the sowing of seed in the good soil, but invites us this time to think about all of the bits and pieces of us that are not exactly as we would have them be. Whether or not it is you would agree that there is an enemy in this world who sows seeds of dissension, that there are dissents in this world, that we are at times at war with ourselves, let alone each other, can hardly be denied. We come into this world sometimes kicking and screaming, sometimes in a rush of water and blood, and it seems all the way through our lives we find ways in which the tension between that which is good and great and that which is small and dark and snide is at war. We tug and toll even on our own opinions of ourselves, let alone of our neighbors. One has to imagine that Jesus was thinking of something far better than farming techniques when talking to the disciples about how it is to treat those elements of the movement and those elements of ourselves that have perhaps shown the tendency to not bear fruit, but rather barbs. Where I grew up in Colorado, we had a wonderful thing called speargrass. Speargrass looks like little tufts of the prairie grass, but as you walk by, there are these little hooks on the end of it. It was an obvious technique for getting seeds transported across the plains by animals and wayward socks of wayward children. If you brushed by, the seed would stick, it would pull, and it would travel with you, and getting the speargrass out of your sock was a little easier. Getting your speargrass out of your skin was a little harder. It looked a lot like the regular tufts of grass. Now, nobody was going to mistake it for wheat, and nobody was going to eat any of this, and nobody was going to grow a crop of either the regular grass or of the speargrass. But it was nearly impossible to tell what kind of field you were running through. As it was at church camp all those years ago, so it is in life now. It is nearly impossible, children and friends, to tell what kind of field you are running through. When you run through the people of your life, it is hard to know which ones will turn out to be angels descending on a ladder of mercy for you from God, clothed in the guise or garb of someone you don't want to meet. And it is also difficult to tell, those who glitter with all the glory of gold, but who hold knives, or speak ill, or spread gossip. Our looks don't seem to correlate with how we act. It is not easy to tell who's got the barb underneath the blade. Jesus tells them in the temptation to exterminate all that is hard or pokey or prodding you, in the determination to become pure and holy and good, he says there is a danger. There's a danger of deciding that you know the kind of field in which you run. And so many ills occur to us. There's the obvious ones where we start looking at the other people around us and say, well, we can't have those people in this place. For surely the presence of the Lord is in this place, and therefore the presence of that person must be abomination. But there's these subtler and more insidious ways in which we think to ourselves, I'm the abomination. I'm the problem. Or that part of me cannot be of God. That part of me must be exterminated. I must somehow find the weed killer and keep that part of me dead and down. This is tricky because there are parts of us that we should not carry and need not inflict on others. This is tricky because there are people in this world who do not do what is right or good. It is tricky because we are sometimes those people, and it is tricky because God says it's not your job to uproot them all and toss them on the fire. Rather, God says, let the field be known by its fruit. How do you know the wheat from the tares? In the young stages, the tare is that grass that looks a lot like wheat. It grew up along all the roadsides in Jesus' day. It looked like blades of wheat coming up, but it never developed the little top head where the seeds are. It never fruited. I guess the modern equivalent, although not quite a perfect analogy, would be like sorghum and corn to the untutored eye. If you're driving along the highway and you see tall plants with big leaves like this, it could be corn, it could be sorghum. Sorghum, though, doesn't produce an ear. And tares didn't produce the wheat grain. You couldn't really tell the difference in that case until one of them sprouted the wheat. Jesus says, don't go out with your scythe and your sickle. Don't go sharpened for the long night, because you might end up cutting down the very thing that will sustain you later. Now, his analogy is not lost on us. There are people around us who we should not have cut because they might have helped us. And there are people around us who have cut us when they might not have. And we might have been a blessing to each other. But now, with enmity or sorrows too high, we cannot be. This world is full of all manner of sorrows. Our hearts are full of all kinds of things that we have tried to uproot in ourselves or press down or kill. Our own worries and fears drive us in violence, and they drive us in ways that call us to violence to others, all in the name of exterminating that which might become evil. Jesus isn't saying there is no evil. Jesus isn't saying there aren't things of us which need to be pruned. But Jesus is reminding us that you have to wait to see. You have to be careful about what the evil is. The field is known by its fruit. Is your life bearing barbed? Are you constantly at war with your neighbors? Then there might well be fruit that you would like to pluck out. There might well be weeds in your garden. Yes. if you're not bearing what you hope for, then the change is good. But when you look at others, there is a humility, and humility, of course, is a gardening term itself. It comes from being close to the earth. A humility of being close enough to the earth. Before you pluck up something, you better know whether it's a weed. I think I spoke last week about my extraordinary gardening skills. Yes, my ability to blight even those artificial plants that might be within a radius of my being. Yes, when I go into the garden and I'm given the admonition, hey, would you go weed that patch for me? And I say, yes, that is a real danger sign to you. You do not want me weeding your garden because to me, they're all green. They all have leaves. Well, that one's pretty. We'll leave that one. I don't know what that one is. I better take that one out. Well, how often is our approach to people the same way? We think we know what we like. We think we know what will be beneficial. We had no idea that artichokes would look that way, or that asparagus, after you picked it, turns into this giant tree fern that looked like a bush you should pluck out. Who knew? And don't even get it. I let the frisee bolt. That's when you let it doesn't run away, apparently. But frisee, this little tiny charming frilly green, man, it puts out a stalk that's about the size of your arm, and it's got these giant purple flowers. I mean, this is a stark plant. You would never guess that little fuzzy little green salad of yours came from something that would eventually grow into what looks pretty much like an oak tree with blue leaves on it. You can't always tell. It's a simple message. It's easier to apply to others, but it applies to us too. Look at your own life. You can't always tell. You might feel like you have just destroyed the only good things that you had. You might just have gotten yourself fired from a job. You might have lost the love of your life through your own stupidity, or perhaps the stupidity of others. You might feel like your life is worthless and over, but you can't always tell. And if you were to make all the decisions based on how you felt in that dark moment, the blessing would be lost. If you had decided that you were a weed who needed to be plucked up, and many people do, they walk around with the idea that they are the problem. They are not having a problem. They are the problem. If you walk around with that inside you, and the desire to pluck up and pull out is deep within you, remember this. You can't tell yet. For even those of us who are well into our 90s are but young, tender plants in God's garden. The story is not yet written for our neighbors or for ourselves. It is simply not known yet what fruit we might bear. And so we lie on the earth and we look to the stars and we dream. Jacob was that bad seed. In every way you think of him, Jacob was the bad seed, man. He cheats his brother out of, not just out of the inheritance with porridge. He then sneaks a blessing from his dad with his mom's help. He's a weasel. A lovely, God-loving weasel, but he's a weasel. If you were to say, look, this brother is not, this is the wrong, we got to uproot this one, you would have missed the part where he finally sees that where we stand, wherever we stand, is holy ground. We are standing on holy ground, and his vision, think about it, his vision is of a ladder that connects heaven and earth, that bridges the gap between our stupidity and divinity, that somehow unites us across our mistakes to a grace that is greater than us. He sees angels not just going up, not just people who've been perfect and getting to go. He sees angels coming down, bringing messages of hope, bringing mercy. And there's transgressing back and forth. They're up and down, they're back and forth. God is not locked in some heaven. We are not trapped on this earth. There is conversation. There is change, green and growing. This is holy ground, he says. God was here and I couldn't see it because I was busy cheating my brother and running for my life, maybe. Wherever you are in your life, live that dream. Live the dream. Not the dream of, caviar nights and champagne, whatever that was. Not the driving of the perfect car, living the dream, but living this dream. The dream that says wherever you are, no matter how you feel about it, there is not yet enough information to know. Live the dream of angels coming to you and whispering in your ear. Live the dream of sending messages of hope to a waiting God. No, don't gather in your weeds yet, says Jesus. You might uproot the wheat along with them. Wait. Collect what bears fruit. Jettison the rest. Dream. Dream of better. Dream of greatness. Not just yours. Live the dream where all ground is holy and all people are blessed, and every single one of them and every single one of us knows that surely the presence of God is with us. Right here, in this place. Amen.